Hello everybody and welcome back to another video on 8 Count. My name's Jack. Recorded a video yesterday which went up on the channel. If you missed that one, be sure to go check it out if you are interested in this upcoming UFC 273 card. First of all, happy Wednesday to you all, or whatever day you are watching this video. Today, as you would have saw on the thumbnail, I'm going to be talking about this upcoming fight between Petr Yan and Aljamain Sterling. Obviously, they fought before. However, I think this fight is going to be very different. I think there's a lot of lessons that we can take from the first fight, and you know, I'm really interested to talk about it to you guys. Anyway, let's just get straight into this video. Obviously, the first fight ended in controversy. The fight was ended in round 4, and they awarded Aljamain Sterling the win via DQ. It was basically just an illegal knee from Petr Yan. Petr Yan. Sterling was on his knees. Therefore, he's a grounded opponent, and you cannot knee to the face of a grounded opponent. The win was given to Aljamain Sterling. I think he got a lot of backlash online for it, for this play acting. I'm not really going to discuss upon that, as you know, it is what it is at the end of the day, guys. It happened, but I'm definitely interested in looking forward to this future fight. So here are both fighters. Aljamain Sterling on the left, the champion, and Petr Yan on the right. He is the interim champion at the moment. Obviously, since the fight, the first fight, Sterling's had surgery. Yan went on to fight Corey Sandhagen in an interim fight, which was an absolute brilliant fight. I'm sure it's up on YouTube somewhere if you want to check it out, or Fight Pass. But yeah, brilliant fight. Both guys are 5'7". I think Aljamain's hair on this picture probably makes him look a bit taller, but it is what it is. The reach, Aljamain Sterling has a 4-inch reach advantage going into this fight, as he did in the last one. Hopefully his arms haven't shrunk. Yeah, here you can see some stats about them each. Yeah, so you can see that Petr Yan is the more probably aggressive fighter. Definitely throws a lot more out there. He's landing more significant strikes per minute, almost an extra strike per minute. Well, just over an extra strike per minute. Yeah, and he's absorbing a lot more. However, it's a bit of an interesting one, because in the first fight, Aljamain definitely threw more, but I'd say that he was on the brunt of most of it. The takedowns, obviously, Sterling loves to get the fight to the ground. However, it is Yan who has the higher takedown accuracy, which was also shown in the first fight. Takedown defense is almost lights out for Petr Yan, 89%, shown in the first fight as well. Yeah, so anyway, let's have a look at the official scorecards first of all. So going into, well, they didn't score round 4 because the round wasn't finished. I have what we've seen. I'll tell you my scorecard now. So Derek clearly scored the fight 29-28 within the 3 rounds, giving Petr Yan 10-9 in rounds 1 and 3. Sal D'Amato scored it the same, rounds 1 and 3, 10-9 to Petr Yan. And Ron McCarthy scored it a bit differently. He scored rounds 1 and 2 to Aljamain Sterling, which I didn't see personally. My scorecard was as follows. I scored it 10-9 Yan in round 1, 10-9 to Sterling in round 2. I scored it 10-9 to Yan in round 3. However, I thought there's a case for a 10-8 in there. Maybe you can say Aljamain did enough to probably keep it in reach of a 10-9 round. But round 4 was definitely on its way to going towards a 10-8 round, I think, for Petr Yan. Obviously, the DQ happened then, though. So I just got done rewatching the fight again. It was a great fight, as long as it lasted. You saw Sterling in the first round. He had quite a bit of success, despite not winning the round, in my opinion. You saw him pushing Yan back towards the fence line, which was definitely something he was looking to do throughout the majority of the fight. I thought he was really good in this first round now. Obviously, he was using a lot more strikes to get his takedowns, whereas I think in, you know, the later rounds you saw him kind of just falling into Petr Yan. What else did I think? I thought the kicks of Sterling looked good early. I think you saw him use a lot of different variants of kicks, where it was the teeps off either leg. Same with the kicks to the leg as well. You're seeing a front leg side kick to the lead leg of Petr Yan, and I would have been a bit more interested if he would have stuck more to that game plan. I felt like at range he looked really good early on. Obviously, he was pushing Petr back in the first round, using a lot of kicks mainly. But also in that round one, Yan had success as well. You know, you could see him, that his defense was so strong just from the get-go. I think round one was probably the round he probably took the most. I mean, it's hard to say punishment because it wasn't like any of the you know, scoring shots from Aljamain Sterling were that I guess heavy scoring shots to the point where it is that much damage. But you know, his defense was good enough, and it definitely improved throughout the fight. It was a slow start, and I think you see that quite often in Petr Yan fights. You know, he takes a round kind of to, you know, get some reads on his opponent, see what they like to do, and he's so defensively strong. His hands are always covering his face. I wonder if the body is a place you could possibly target him to with that high guard. It's going to be interesting to see if Sterling will take that route in the second fight, I must say. I thought he did turn around the round on its head though, Petr Yan in round one. Obviously he had the knockdown of Sterling. I think Sterling threw out a jab, and then it was a rangy shot where Yan was able to thread a straight. And the thing was, Sterling didn't return his hand back after throwing that jab out there. His hand went low. It wasn't like a Philly shell either. It wasn't like he had the shoulder covering the chin. He was just clean out there to get him, and Yan did it and was able to put him down. After that, he scored his first takedown of the fight, I think in round one as well. No. Sterling scored a takedown early on as well. But Yan was able to get up, and after that, that's when he got the knockdown. Sorry about that. You know, Sterling threw heavy, I felt, in the first round, but didn't really land anything that significant to the point to hurt him. And like I said, it was that jab which kind of left him vulnerable for that straight of Petr Yan. Round two, I thought was a Sterling round, in my opinion. I didn't feel like Yan really had much offense going in the second round. Not that Sterling had the most like overwhelming offense constant, but he was constant with the pressure. He held Yan up against the fence for the majority of the round, I'd say. And I hate scoring rounds like that for people. I like to see a bit more action, a bit more, you know, with the takedowns. I felt like Sterling's head position was sometimes a bit wrong. Going for the takedowns, you saw him like kind of stuffed underneath between the legs of Petr Yan at times. With that weight on him, it was clear that it was going to wear him down. You know, he used a lot of energy in that round. But like I said, he didn't really score with anything significant. I thought Yan, despite losing the round, he looked composed. He didn't really look too threatened by the takedowns. I think he scored one of his own towards the end of the round and had the back for about 5 seconds. But obviously, for me, it wasn't enough to give him the round. However, I think in this round, you saw a lot of signs towards the downfall of Aljamain Sterling. You know, he was desperate, in my opinion. I felt that he looked manic and desperate for the takedown. After the round, I was listening to it this morning, just, listening to the audio of the commentators, see what they said as well. You saw, I think just before round three, I think it was DC, he said, you know, that Sterling was showing nervous energy, and I think it's kind of obvious. He looked so pumped up, and it was his moment, like, to go and win the bout, which he did, but kind of not in the way you want to. And Trevor Whitman, who I think is like one of the best people like to listen to. I think he always has great opinions on the sport, and I love it when the UFC bring him in from kind of like that standpoint of a broadcaster who's not in the broadcast booth. But yeah, he said that everything that Sterling was doing looked forced, and I think that is completely right. He didn't look like he was setting things up the best, and he didn't look calm, and I felt like that was the they were polar opposites. Petr Yan looked calm at all times, and Sterling looked rushed and panicked at times, I think you could say. Round 3 started, so I had it level at the start of between rounds 1 and 2. Round 3 started, and you saw Yan started to put Sterling on the back foot pretty early. Sterling did come forward at times, but majority of the time I thought that Yan was doing a great job backing Sterling up. And it started showing the fatigue of Sterling. I think you saw some negative signs, like he was shaking his head at times. And, you know, Yan was scoring with a lot more success. His strikes were landing more cleanly. And he was finding more trips and takedowns from those clinch positions, which I thought was really part of the game, which was brilliant from Petr Yan. His ability that when in the clinch, I think going into the fight, he thought a lot of the time that in the clinch it would be Sterling who would be looking for takedowns and, you know, trying to wear on Yan, but Yan never giving him space to breathe, space to recover. It was a constant fight, and with Sterling starting with such a high pace, he was only going downhill from there. It was a brilliant game plan from Yan, and he executed it really well. Round 4, up until the illegal knee. Yeah, I have wrote some notes. That's why I'm looking down, by the way. I just wrote some notes while I was watching the fight this morning. Yeah, so up until the illegal knee, Sterling was throwing in this round, but quickly faded. It was early on, and he was throwing some head kicks and that. He was throwing some wild techniques as well, like some spinning back kicks when, you know, Yan wasn't there, and he was throwing them, and he was just leaving himself very vulnerable. Yeah, I put here a lot of the techniques used by Sterling were wild and often off the mark. You know, the same with his takedowns attempt in this round as well. He was really just falling into Yan, and Yan had no problem with it whatsoever. He was easily able to get the underhooks and move out of the clinch whenever he wanted to. Quality from him. What else have I put? Oh yes, Yan. I put he looked clean, man. He looked so composed in this round. You know, he knew what he wanted to do. He wanted to put Sterling on the back foot. He wanted to, you know, start catching him some cleaner strikes, which he did. And I think it was very negative looking as well, the face of Aljamain Sterling towards the end of this fight. You know, he was looking more and more kind of like confused almost as to why he was feeling like that and stuff like that. And, you know, it was like that for the majority of the fight. You know, Yan was by far the more composed and disciplined to his game plan, I would say. You know, his defense was lights out as well as his offense. You know, in terms of striking, yeah, he had some shots, a few leg kicks, which he didn't check, but a lot of the time, most of the shots were either, you know, blocked or, you know, a bit of a sting was taken out of him because his guard is always so high, and it, you know, it's brilliant from him. His offense, though, man, was just brilliant, I thought, you know, and I think you saw that in the Sandhagen fight as well. I think early, I'm a huge Sandhagen fan. I don't mind Yan, I'm not like his biggest fan. I think it's probably because of the language barrier that, you know, you don't get to see much of his personality. Corey Sandhagen, he just seems like a chill guy and loves fighting. He's kind of like one of those fight nerds, you know, and I really enjoy Sandhagen. I think in terms of fighters in the bantamweight division, there aren't too many more exciting than him, and I was rooting for him in that fight. And I thought he started off early, but like in this fight, Yan was able to, you know, take his time and then pour the pressure on when he needed to, and it, you know, Yan did that, you know, in both fights extremely well. I put down here that Yan's ability to use his strikes from range and force Sterling into mistakes was a great, you know, bit of work from him in this fight. I'm not really sure the word I'm looking for, but you know what I mean. You know, he was able to mix the trips and takedowns in from the clinch with Sterling, and that was one of the keys for me that, you know, coming into the fight, like I said earlier, I thought Sterling, you know, if he can get Yan going backwards up against the fence and in those clinches, you know, wherever it is in the middle of the octagon, he would be the stronger fighter. I was very wrong. I think coming out of the fight, you could probably say that Yan looks like the stronger of the two. The takedowns from the clinch, they were just, you know, effortless from him. He didn't you didn't see him using, like, where you saw with the takedowns of Sterling, he's trying really hard and you can see the energy being zapped from him doing it. It was complete opposite of Jan. You know, he was able to get these trips where it was kind of like the one that Zabit Magomed Sharipov uses, where he kind of just like, it's kind of very easy, but he's able to get that foot behind the opponent and push him over. And, you know, with those trips and that as well, he was using ground and pound, probably minimal, because he didn't want to expose himself to the guard and of Sterling, who is a very, you know, a really good black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He has so many different techniques when it comes to submissions. You've seen in his previous fights of, you know, where he's got like the banana split, and, you know, he's brilliant at taking the back as well. But yeah, so he didn't use too much ground and pound. A lot of the time you see him stand off Sterling, either allow him to get up or eat the legs up a bit. And it was just demoralizing, I thought, for Aljamain. You saw him kind of just willing to just lay there and not looking to get anything off. You saw, I think, Sterling go for a scissor sweep early on in the fight and went for some sort of combination into, I don't know what he was looking for, but it was some sort of setup to get to the legs of Jan. He wasn't able to pull that off though. But I think this fight's going to be a lot different now. The second fight, there's a lot of changing variables. Fucking hell, I've just seen the time. I've been going for 16 minutes. I've been rambling absolute shit. I do apologize, guys, but I hope you're enjoying it either way. Probably try and get this done now within the next 5, hopefully. But yeah, this fight's going to be a lot different, in my opinion. Since then, you know, like I said earlier, Petr Yan was able to get that fight in with Sandhagen and prove like why he is the #1 fighter in this division currently. Sterling, on the other hand, he's had surgery, so you don't know how that's going to affect him. I think you've seen with fighters, they come back from surgery, sometimes they're not the same, depending on what surgery it is. I think it was something with the neck to do with Aljamain. Sorry. Which isn't great. However, you know, we'll have to wait and see. Some of the other changing variables going into this fight are the fact that Yan can't get his, you know, regular coaching setup out there. There's some problem where he can't get his coaches, which is, you know, it's huge at the end of the day, because those people are the people that know him best. Those are the people that Yan trusts. But he's obviously very confident in his ability to go back and win this fight. I think if it wasn't that, I think you might have seen a withdrawal, but obviously you haven't. I think there's talks of maybe Cejudo being in his corner, which I don't mind. You know, anyone who Yan can trust will be good. I know Cejudo's already going to be there because of the main event. He's training with the Korean Zombie. So yeah, check out the video from yesterday if you want to see that. But yeah, I do think this fight's going to be different. I think the main reason it's going to be different is because Aljamain's going to have to change. I think the main thing for Aljamain is the distance and dictating the pace. I think in the first fight, obviously started very fast, trying to pull it on Yan, was unsuccessful really in doing that. I think in this fight, he's got to take a much more measured approach. However, I do think he's got to be the one who's backing Yan up. And that's hard because you've seen Yan in all these fights. No one's been able to back Yan up, really. I mean, Aldo maybe at times, but, you know, he pull it on Aldo as well. And Aldo's a serious striker, and his striking's a lot more lethal than Sterling. So somehow Sterling's got to find a way to dictate the pace, slow it down, I think, so he can go for 25 minutes at a good rate. And he's also got to find a way to earn respect of Petr Yan, because if he doesn't, you know, Yan's going to walk straight through him. How do I think he's going to do it? I think you're going to see a lot of leg kicks in this fight and a lot of variance within how he's throwing the leg kicks. I think you might see him go, you know, a bit higher to the thigh and to the calf. I think you're going to see him use like that front leg side kick, which you saw in, I mean, countless fights now. I think the one fight where it was used brilliantly was the first fight between Yoel and Rob Whittaker. I think he used it brilliantly to dictate the fight in that one, and you saw it in the Till Stephen Wonderboy Thompson fight back in the day. Well, it seems like ages ago that fight happened, but yeah, that front leg side kick to the leg I think could be a very decent weapon, because I think Yan stands a bit straight on. Well, compared to most opponents that Sterling's going to fight, I think that weapon's there. I think other kicks are going to be really necessary as well. I think if Sterling can get the teep going, obviously it is risky because of Jan being able to catch the kick and sweep. However, you know, like I said before, Jan isn't really looking to jump into the guard of Aljamain Sterling, so I don't think he's got to really worry about that too much. The other thing's going to be the takedowns of Aljo. How's he going to get them? Is he going to get them? You know, thinking about it, I think it's more likely that he's probably going to be getting a couple at most. I don't really see him being able to get Jan to a stage where he can take him down at will and control him. I think it's going to be interesting in this fight if they do get to the clinch along the fate with Aljamain, with the double under, over under, if he can look to take the back of Jan along the fence line, kind of like he did against Corey Sandhagen. I think that's going to be very important in this fight for Aljamain Sterling, being able to switch up techniques from, you know, looking for the double and single, but also being able to take the back of Jan. I thought that Jan was very clean in the first fight, being able to, you know, really at ease get the second underhook in with the right arm and kind of just free himself off the fence, and he was able to get out of the clinch on the fence line with ease, without taking any damage. So even with that, I think Sterling's got to be looking for attacks off the break, whether that's elbows, knees, whatever. Also, I think Sterling's got to look much more to be using his strikes to get the takedown. I think you see with Khabib, you know he's going to go for that takedown, and you've got that anxiety of him going for it. And I think you got to do the same with Jan. You got to put him on that back foot against the cage, and you got to be throwing strikes to the point where he's going to have to defend them, but you got to, you know, use them to get the takedown. And I thought in the first fight he really didn't do that. I thought that, you know, other than the first round, a lot of the takedown attempts from Sterling were very rushed, and I thought it was easier for Jan knowing that, you know, all he's doing is defending the takedown. I thought Sterling looked much better when he was using strikes to close the distance and then shooting on Jan. What's Jan got to do? He's not got to throw that fucking illegal knee for one. That would be a hand, just to say. But I think Jan's got to do what he's got to do. He's got to be the one backing Sterling up. So it's going to really be a contest of which fighter is the one on the front foot. I don't see Sterling winning a fight from the outside, you know, backing up either. I don't see him winning this fight. And Jan, he's an absolute fucking animal. He's so good from either stance. He's got so many techniques, but he's, you know, he's not really like throwing flashy techniques. He's using, you know, the basics, but he's got so many different variants of how he uses them, coming off either side. It's going to be a great fight. My official prediction is Jan is going to get it done. And I know I said this fight's going to be different. I do think it's going to be different. You know, the first fight, there's no way it ends up like the first fight. Every fight's different. Like I said, there's forever changing variables in this game, and obviously we got some with the coach of Jan and some with Sterling. You know, just being able to change that game plan is going to be massive. And if he can stick to it, I think he's got a really good shot in this fight. I do think if there's someone in this division who can probably beat Jan, it might be Sterling. Sterling might have the best shot to do it. So yeah, guys, that was my prediction. So yeah, so in full prediction, I'm going to go with Jan by decision in the end. I think he could probably look for the finish, but I think the fact that Sterling's going to go with a more considered pace. I think you might be looking at a 4-1, 3-2, but a very different fight. And I hope it is. I hope both guys, you know, I'm not you know, a fan. Well, I'm a fan of both of them. I think their skills are amazing, but I'm not like, oh, he's my boy, I'm rooting for him, die, you know, ride or die. But yeah, I hope whoever the better man is on the night wins, and I wish them nothing but the best of luck. Like I said at the start of the video, I did record a video yesterday just talking about Volk. Hopefully this video is a bit better. Obviously, getting used to doing videos on my own. I do have a channel with my mates where we talk about fantasy Premier League football. If you want to check that out, I'll leave the link to it in the description down below. Like I said, yeah, yesterday's video, Volk's a bit shorter than this one. If you enjoy this video, please leave a like, comment down below who you think is going to win and how. And until next time, I'll see you later. Bye.